Alright, guys. So now, finally, let's take a look at correlation, which is a very important concept. Correlation study a relationship between two variables. So, for example, one's income and happiness, or viewing porn and brain structure difference, which we will talk about later. Now, the strength of the relationship is indicated by correlation coefficient, this little r. Okay. Now, one thing very important you have to remember is that this little r value is always between -1 and +1, not outside this value. Okay, so if somebody tell you, oh, the r value is 1.05, which is more than 1, or somebody say it's a negative 1.5, you will tell them they're wrong because it's impossible. Okay, now the relationship can be represented by something called scatter plot. Okay, so I'll show you those scatter plots right here. Now, scatter plot look like this, those little dots, and this horizontal line represent one factor. So, for example, like what's income. Now, this vertical line represent another factor. So, for example, happiness. Now, if one's income and happiness is a perfect positive correlation relationship, that means one's income increases, then they are happier. Okay. Of course, if one's income decreases, that they are less happy. Okay. That's in other words, these two factors are moving in the same direction, represented by this straight line. Okay. Now, on the other hand, this is negative correlation. Now, when we say negative or positive, those signs only indicate direction. You can see positive is this direction, now negative is this direction. This negative and positive does not, okay, I repeat, does not indicate the strength. It only indicates the direction. Now, what does that mean, negative? So when this factor increases, the other one decreases, okay, and vice versa. All right, so for example, if one's income is more, they become less happier. Okay. Now, anything in between, you can see those dots becoming, scattered around. The weakest relationship is no relationship, which is 0. And again, -0.5, the strength is exactly the same with +0.5. It's just the direction is different. You can see the train kind of like go this way, and on this negative kind of going this way. More about this later. So let me show you an example of a perfect positive correlation. Of course, those data are made up. They are not real. One's income and happiness. So you can see this is a scatter plot. Now this represented income, increase this way, and happiness from 1 to 10. 1 means that not happy, 10 is very happy, and those are the data we asked 10 people, and this is the income and their happiness level. Okay, now this plot against this, plot the data into this scatter plot. So the first person is income is 3K and the happiness is just 1. Okay, like this. Now how about second person, 3.2 and happiness 2. Go like this. Now you see here, when this factor increases 1 unit, the other one increases 1 unit as well. All right. Just keep on plotting. Now the third person is 3.4 versus 3. This is right here. Again, when this factor increases 1 unit, the other one increases 1 unit. If that's the case, one variable increases 1 unit, the other increases exactly 1 unit. This is a perfect positive correlation. R equals 1.00. Okay, let's plot all the data in. As you can see, it's a straight line, right? That's positive correlation. Now, of course, real life things are never so perfect, right? So I think this is real data. Husband's age versus wife's age. This tells us that the older the husbands, most likely the wives are older as well. Of course, we see some different example, right? at a boat when marry a very very young girl, like 40 years. He's junior. I don't know, but I mean those are exceptions. Not very often happen. So you can see, I mean, this is almost like a straight line, right? It's a very strong correlation, 0.8 to 0.9. Your GPA and our study, spent study. Of course, seems to be a correlation, and I have no idea if it is true or not. But this is a kind of moderate or weak correlation. Now you probably think, well, first of all, I don't know if it's true or not, and second, even if it's true, that suggests there are probably some other things we have to do to increase our GPA other than just study. Maybe we need to study the right material. Maybe when we don't understand, we need to ask questions, right? Okay, and just side note, do you think people's income is related to happiness? According to study, to a degree, yes. The income up to about 75,000 a year seems to be related, has a positive correlation related to happiness. The more you make, the more the happier you are. But beyond this number, 75,000 a year, it seems that there is not a strong correlation anymore. Just so you know. Okay, now example of a negative correlation, a perfect negative correlation. Now I'm going to show you this viewing porn and brain structure difference. Now, of course, those data are made up, but actually they really conducted studies. So if you're interested, you can search, Google this article. But again, this is a porn viewing time, okay, hours, and this is the gray matter volume, okay, the brain structure, okay, which is a very, very important, probably the most important part of the brain. This plot the data into this scatter plot, and you can see the first person never viewed porn. Probably you cannot find it anymore. But and the gray matter is 10. A lot of gray matter, right? Now the second person is 0.5 versus 9, right here. So this is this dot, and as you can see, when one unit increase, porn viewing, the other one decrease, right? So when one variable increases 1 unit, the other decreases exactly 1 unit. Is a perfect negative correlation. R equals a negative or 1.00. Okay, it's all the data in, and you can see this is a straight line. It's just different direction. Very, very. It's a perfect correlation, right? Just so you know, the study indeed suggested that viewing porn is related to less gray matter, but the relationship is not that strong. Now, up to this point, you probably think, oh, this suggests to us don't watch porn because it will damage your brain, right? One thing you have to be very careful is correlation is not causation. Just because we find a correlation does not mean we know what causes what, okay? I'm going to explain it later. So of course, again, real life is so perfect. So the amount of beers you drink and your grades, well, I mean, there's a negative correlation, quite strong one. Yeah, but it's not perfect. It seems there is a correlation between students' achievement and teacher salary, but the relationship probably is not as strong as we believe. It's kind of like a weak correlation, around 0.3. Okay. I think this is real data. I just got it from internet to show you the example. All right, now remember that R value is first between +1 and -1. Okay, and the positive and negative sign only indicates direction, not value or strength. Finally, the stronger relationship, the farther away it is from 0. Example, 0.45 and -0.45 have equal strength, just different direction. Okay, this come back to this correlation is not causation. It's so important. I mean, A lot of people, even when I studied PhD, I sometimes forget about this. Be very, very careful. For example, what does viewing porn and less gray matter imply? Do you think watching porn causes brain damage? Of course, I will not really suggesting that less gray matter means brain damage. Far from it, but just for the sake of making a point. Or brain damage causes people to view porn, lower IQ, start viewing porn. We don't know. Or there's another possibility. There is another variable, and we call it third variable, causes these two factors at the same time. Okay, let me give you another example of a third variable. Some of you probably heard about exhibitionism. That means some crazy men, usually men are crazy. They will strip themselves naked and then just cover themselves in just one blanket, hide in the corner of a valley or park, and wait until a woman walk by. They will jump out of the corner and expose themselves. And usually the woman's reaction is screaming, shouting, and from the woman's reaction, this cycle reaches his orgasm. Right? Now, if you go to a city, a town, and collect data, you will find a very strange relationship. The more crazy people do this crazy thing, the more people eat ice cream. And you probably think, how can that be, right? Does that mean crazy people, after they expose themselves, they need to cool down by eating ice cream? Or eating ice cream makes you crazy, right? Actually, there is a third variable. You probably want to guess which variable causes these two factors at the same time. The third variable, the answer is the weather. When it is warm, then more likely those crazy people to go out and expose themselves, right? And people are more likely to eat ice cream. So exhibitionism actually is not related to ice cream eating. But because there's a third variable, so you seem to have this relationship. If you take weather into account, then this relationship is gone. Okay? So the point is, correlation is not causation. Just because we see two factors that seems to relate it together, we cannot draw any conclusion which causes which. Please remember this. It's really important. There are some other funny correlations. Again, I don't know if it's true or not, but it seems autism is a developmental disorder. It's related to organic food sales. Seems that the more autism, the more food sales. But another one, this is my favorite, Dilbert, comics. So I think this woman's name is Tina. I don't know. She says, someday I want to get married because the studies show that married people are happier. And this is true. A study really shows that. But does that mean getting married makes you happy? Now, Dilbert is a bit cynical. He said, well, a smarter interpretation is that no one wants to marry an unhappy person. In other words, it's because people are happy. Happy people get married. Right? Now, which one is true? We don't know. So she's not very happy. You are annoying. And he said, with any luck, your soulmate won't be protected. Yeah, birds of feather flock together. So her spouse probably, if she get married, her spouse probably is not as smart. Now recap. I want you to match these four scatter plots with these four R values. Okay, pause the video and try to do the match, and then resume the video. All right, now let me analyze this for you. Now there are four values, but two are positive, two negative, right? Now, as I said, positive and negative is just implied direction. So let's focus on the positive values first. 0.85 and 0.42. You can see the strength is quite different. So which of these four are positive correlation? If you remember, you know it's B and D, right? Because positive indicate this this direction. Now you can see this is more scattered around, and this is more, kind of like going along with a straight line. So which one is stronger? Of course, if it's closer to the straight line, this is stronger. So now you have your answer. This two must be 0.85 and 0.42. Now which one is 0.85? It must be D because it's stronger. So 0.85 is D. Now degrees of freedom. So 0.42 must be B. So negative 5.4 and negative 9.4, right? Again, you see which one is stronger. Of course, this is this one, C. Now, this is stronger than this one, okay? So C must be negative 0.94, and A is negative 0.54, okay? So there you have it. And this concludes chapter 1 lecture.